Hello, 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 and welcome to Emotional Response ER. This is Life Coaching with Ink Ivory. Hi. I'm assuming my voice is scratchy because I've been outside, and with the rain and the humidity, the pollen count 20 times out of 20 is affected. And as you have listened before, it does affect my voice, my throat. When that occurs, because I was just fine, so I'm not quite sure why I sound like this. So just covering again the topic at hand, taking care of yourself while your significant other is out of town, away on business. I needed to do a part 2, mainly to stress value that you put into yourself. Based on the value that you have on yourself will be the contingent factor on what you entertain and what you don't entertain. And when things are below your worth, it's not even a part of the menu. It's not even in your visual. You pay it no mind. And in a visual sense, you have to visualize. When I talk about worth, visualize the blinders that they put on horses in order to walk straight. And walking straight is remaining committed in your relationship. And you put blinders on so you're not distracted or easily swayed. And to a certain degree, because the worth you put on yourself, in yourself, you put blinders on when it comes to certain things. And it's not to make yourself better than anyone else, put yourself on a whole nother level, but certain things are not for certain people. You're not going to entertain certain things because you're worth. If somebody is walking around offering drugs in exchange for money, of course you have to buy it, but offering drugs, because the worth that you put into yourself, you pay that person no mind. You don't even entertain the idea of seeing how much it costs. So when the person presents it, it's almost as if you can't hear and you pay it no mind. Or the person is mute. You hit the mute button like a remote control and their lips is moving, but you don't hear them. And that goes the same way with different things that will try to distract you. Try to have you fall into temptation of denouncing your vows if you're married. Pull away from your committed relationship. And so these things are key. You have to put that much worth in yourself that regardless if things that you're used to being tended to when your spouse or your significant other is present, if those things are not tended to, you have to be concrete in what your worth, what your value is, that you're not swayed and taking extra measures to get those needs met. Because you'll find yourself down a dark and lonely road wishing you didn't entertain certain things. Because there's always a rippling effect. Everybody tends to think of cheating and think of the consequences of being pregnant or getting an STD. But there is also a consequence of emotional effects. You cannot control the emotional effect that one experience or a couple or a series of experiences can ripple into. You can't control if that person get a level of attachment that you can't shake, or vice versa. You can't control if this person had in their mind that it was going to last longer than what you anticipated it to last. And now you have dated things because your significant other is back in town, and they start going crazy in their head. And crazy by I mean calling repeatedly. All of a sudden, showing up unscheduled. It was one act in your head, but it was the beginning of acts in their head, or the beginning of something. So you have to put that much worth in yourself that you remember what means the most to you. Does your relationship mean the most to you when it comes to temptation or relationship? Because one moment can cost you everything. And say you don't have the side effects of emotional STDs or pregnancy. The rippling effect that you might have is unforgiveness. There's no guarantee that your partner, your wife, your husband will forgive you. And so you very well need to move as if you're playing chess and not checkers. Think of the full scope. And trust me, when you think of the full scope, it'll dampen the intensity that is behind the desire. It's okay to entertain something for a moment, but when you're hanging on to it and you indulge in it, that's when you went too far. It's only human that you'll entertain something for a moment, but then you tear it down because of certain things that are on the line. And so the worth that you put in yourself is the worth that will be the thing that sustains you enough to say, no, I'll pass. Taking care of yourself. Taking care of yourself. Part of taking care of yourself is holding in consideration the damage that you will cause to yourself if you lose everything. Hold on to the worth that you put into yourself, even when your needs are not being attended to immediately. We live in a microwave society where everybody thinks everything got to be now, right this minute, right this moment. And the reality is, when it comes to humans and interacting, needs will not be met every second, every moment, right now. And does that make you question your relationship? Does that make you denounce your vows? No. Your vows wasn't contingent on your needs being met. So check yourself right there. When you committed into the relationship, it wasn't with the prerequisite that your needs had to be met all the time. Because if you look at yourself individually, you can't even meet your needs immediately like you should. It's as simple as being hungry for lunch, but having to go to the bathroom first. I know they seem like small actions and how can I compare it? But I'm comparing it with you gathering a concept that, okay, even though you are hungry, you will postpone that just so you can go to the bathroom. And so though that need is not being met immediately, that doesn't make it a valid need. It just means this it's being postponed. And it will be tended to in an orderly fashion. And so your significant other, your husband, your wife is away on a business trip. They can't call and text like they should. Or even like they do every day. That need is not being met because you're used to it. You're accustomed to it. So that want becomes a need because this is how your daily routine is. You're used to talking to them. You're used to hearing their voice. You're used to them sending a text. And when that changes for a moment while they're on a business trip, that don't mean you question what y'all have together. And entertain things that are contrary to the worth that you have put into yourself individually. Because there's worth that you put into the relationship. And then there's worth that you put into yourself. And let's not exclude the worth that we put into the relationship. Because based on the level of worth, it enters different realms of the chambers that are within our heart. An associate, someone that you meet on a cordial level, will not be in the innermost chambers of your heart like your husband, your significant other. And so that worth alone that you also put in a relationship should also be the thing that sustains you when temptation, downtime, where you're not doing anything. Stop using the word bored so much, because bored will have you wandering, bored will have you entertaining, bored will have you doing things. There's always something to do. Now, if you want to kick back, let it be you kicking back. Not I'm bored and I'm kicking back. Because you're not bored. You chose to kick it back. So being aware of that, you conduct yourself in such a way that you don't compromise everything that means something to you. Be very mindful how you take care of yourself when it comes to the worth that you have individually and the worth that you have when it comes to your relationship. Not to say you will be prepared with every rebuttal when temptation is enticing you or being presented at your door. But even at unscheduled times, you should know whether you're going to entertain something or not. You know that. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. And never look at the worth that you put in yourself at the level that you have grown accustomed to being affectionate towards yourself. Never for a second think it's too much. Because it's you. It's you. Why cheat you? You're worth having a committed relationship. So why